When Logan Carter opened his apartment door at midnight, he never expected to find his best friend Mia standing there, mascara streaking her face, hands trembling, a backpack clutched to her chest like a shield. Behind her, through the thin walls, he could still hear the echo of shattering glass and violent cursing. "Can I stay here tonight?" she whispered. And in that moment, Logan knew their friendship was about to be tested in ways he never imagined. This is the story of the night everything changed. The night silence became survival, and safety became something worth fighting for. If you're watching from anywhere in the world, drop your city in the comments below and hit that like button. I want to see how far this story travels. Now, let me take you back to where it all began. Logan Carter had built his life on predictability. At 32, he'd learned that chaos was the enemy, especially when you were raising a kid alone. Every morning started the same way. Wake up at 6, make breakfast for his 7-year-old daughter Emma, pack her lunch with the crusts cut off her sandwich exactly the way she liked, drop her at school, then head to his job as a software engineer at a mid-sized tech firm in downtown Seattle. Evenings were homework, dinner, bath time, bedtime stories. Weekends were soccer practice, grocery shopping, and maybe, if he was lucky, an hour to himself after Emma fell asleep. His apartment in the Fremont neighborhood wasn't fancy, but it was theirs. 2 bedrooms, a kitchen just big enough for a small table, a living room where Emma's art projects covered every available surface. The building was old, built in the 70s with walls so thin you could hear your neighbors sneeze, but the rent was manageable. The landlord was decent, and the elementary school was only 3 blocks away. For Logan, that was enough. He'd stopped expecting more from life about 4 years ago, when Emma's mother, Jessica, had walked out. No big fight, no dramatic scene. She just left a note on the kitchen counter saying she couldn't do it anymore. Motherhood, marriage, Seattle, all of it. She needed to find herself, whatever that meant. The divorce papers came 2 months later, forwarded from an address in Santa Fe. She'd signed away custody without a second thought, and Logan had been on his own ever since. Most days, he was fine with it. Emma was thriving, bright, funny, endlessly curious about everything. She had his dark hair and his stubborn streak, but she had a lightness about her that he'd lost somewhere along the way. Raising her alone wasn't easy, but it gave his life purpose. Structure. A reason to keep the chaos at bay. Then Mia Bennett moved in next door, and Logan remembered what friendship felt like. They'd known each other since college. Both had attended the University of Washington. Both had been part of the same circle of friends who'd gradually drifted apart after graduation. Logan had married Jessica and started a family. Mia had moved to Portland for a graphic design job, dated a series of guys who never quite worked out, built a career creating brand identities for startups and small businesses. They'd kept in touch sporadically over the years, birthday messages on Facebook, the occasional text checking in, but life had pulled them in different directions. When Mia showed up at his door 6 months ago, asking if he knew of any available apartments in the building, Logan had been genuinely happy to see her. She looked the same, long auburn hair, bright green eyes, the kind of smile that could light up a room when she actually used it. She explained that she was moving back to Seattle with her boyfriend, a guy named Derek, who'd gotten a job with some tech startup. The apartment next to Logan's happened to be vacant, and within a week, Mia and Derek had moved in. At first, Logan was excited to have his old friend so close. He imagined barbecues, movie nights, the kind of easy companionship they'd had in college. Emma adored Mia immediately. She had a gift with kids, always knew exactly what to say to make them feel special. Mia would bring over fresh-baked cookies, help Emma with art projects, tell stories about the weird clients she worked with as a freelance designer. But Derek was another story. Logan tried to like him. He really did. Derek was handsome in that calculated way. Perfectly styled hair, expensive sneakers, always talking about his networking strategy and his personal brand. He worked in marketing for a cryptocurrency startup, though as far as Logan could tell, his job mostly involved posting on social media and attending parties disguised as industry events. More concerning was the way Derek treated Mia. It was subtle at first, small comments that seemed like jokes, but had an edge to them. "Mia's not great with money," Derek would say with a laugh when they all went out to dinner, even though Mia ran her own successful freelance business. "She's so disorganized, I don't know what she'd do without me," he'd add, while Mia quietly organized his entire life behind the scenes. Logan noticed other things too. The way Derek would check Mia's phone when she wasn't looking. The way he'd cut her off mid-sentence when she was telling a story. The way Mia's bright smile seemed to dim a little more each week, replaced by something careful and measured. But Logan told himself it wasn't his business. Mia was a grown woman, and she'd chosen Derek. Maybe Logan was being overprotective. Maybe he was reading too much into things. He had his own life to manage, his own daughter to raise. He couldn't go around trying to rescue people who hadn't asked for help. Then came that Saturday night in late October. Emma was at her friend Sophie's house for a sleepover, one of the rare weekends when Logan had the apartment to himself. He'd planned a quiet evening, leftover pizza, a documentary about space exploration he'd been meaning to watch, maybe an early night with a book. By 10 o'clock, he was on the couch in sweatpants and an old Seahawks t-shirt, halfway through an article about the James Webb Telescope. Through the wall, he could hear music from Mia and Derek's apartment. That wasn't unusual. Derek liked to play his playlists loud on weekend nights, usually some mix of electronic music and hip-hop that made the walls vibrate. Logan had learned to tune it out, or sometimes he'd put in earbuds if it got too loud. But around 10:30, the music cut off abruptly. Logan barely noticed at first. He turned a page in his magazine, took a sip of beer. Then he heard voices, raised, angry. Derek's voice mostly, a low rumble through the wall that Logan couldn't make out clearly. Then Mia's voice, higher, defensive. Logan set down his magazine and listened. This wasn't the first argument he'd heard through the wall. In 6 months of living next door, there had been plenty of raised voices, plenty of tense conversations that would end with doors slamming or long, uncomfortable silences. But something about this felt different. There was a sharpness to Derek's voice that made Logan's chest tighten. "You're always doing this." Derek's voice came through clearly now, loud enough that Logan could make out every word. "Always questioning me, always making me feel like I'm not good enough." Mia's response was quieter, harder to hear. Something about just wanting to talk, just trying to understand. "Understand what?" Derek shouted. "That you don't trust me? That you're constantly checking up on me like I'm some kind of criminal?" "I saw the messages, Derek." Mia's voice was stronger now, trembling but clear. "I saw what she sent you. I'm not crazy." There was a crash, something hitting the floor, glass breaking. Logan was on his feet before he consciously decided to move, his heart hammering against his ribs. He moved toward the wall, pressing his ear against it, every instinct screaming at him to do something. "You went through my phone?" Derek's voice was different now, lower, more dangerous. "After everything I do for you, you went through my phone?" "You left it unlocked on the table," Mia shot back. "The notification popped up right in front of me." "So that gives you the right to invade my privacy?" "You've been checking my phone for months. You made me give you my passwords. You read my messages. You question me about every person I talk to. That's different," Derek roared. "I'm trying to protect you. I'm trying to make sure you're not screwing everything up the way you always do." Logan's hands clenched into fists. He should call someone. The police? No, not yet. He didn't have enough information. Maybe he should just knock on the door, interrupt whatever was happening, give Mia an excuse to leave the apartment. "I haven't screwed anything up," Mia said, her voice breaking. "I pay half the rent. I've been nothing but faithful to you. I've tried so hard to make this work." "Tried?" Derek laughed, a harsh sound that made Logan's skin crawl. "You call this trying? You're a mess, Mia. Your business is barely keeping you afloat. You can't keep a normal schedule. You're so emotional about everything. Stop it." Mia's voice was small now, defeated. "No, you need to hear this. You need to understand how good you have it. Where would you even be without me? You'd be alone. That's where. Nobody else is going to put up with all your issues." There was another crash, louder this time. Logan heard Mia cry out. Not a scream, but a sharp intake of breath, the sound of someone flinching away from danger. That was it. Logan was moving toward his door when he heard Derek's apartment door slam open, then slam shut again. Heavy footsteps pounded down the hallway, then down the stairs. A car engine started in the parking lot below, tires squealing as it pulled away. Then silence. Logan stood in his living room, every muscle tensed, listening. He heard movement from next door, soft footsteps, the sound of someone moving around carefully. Then nothing. He should check on her. He should knock on the door, make sure she was okay. But what if she didn't want him to? What if he was overstepping? She might be embarrassed, angry that he'd heard. She might send him away. While he was debating, he heard it, quiet sobbing, barely audible through the wall. The kind of crying someone does when they're trying desperately to stay silent, to not take up space even in their own grief. Logan made his decision. He opened his apartment door and stood in the hallway, looking at Mia's door. The hallway was empty, dimly lit by a single overhead light that flickered occasionally. He could hear the sobbing more clearly now. He raised his hand to knock, then hesitated. What would he even say? What could he possibly offer that would help? Before he could second-guess himself further, Mia's door opened. She stood in the doorway, and Logan's heart broke. Her face was streaked with mascara, eyes red and swollen. She wore leggings and an oversized sweatshirt, and she clutched a small backpack to her chest, like it was the only thing keeping her upright. Her whole body was trembling. For a moment, they just looked at each other. Logan saw the shame in her eyes, the humiliation of being seen like this. He saw the way she was trying to hold herself together, trying to find words that wouldn't come. "Can I stay here tonight?" she finally whispered. Logan didn't hesitate. "Of course." He stepped back, holding his door open wider. "Come in." Mia walked past him into his apartment, moving like someone in a dream. Logan closed the door behind her and locked the deadbolt. A small thing, but he saw the way her shoulders relaxed slightly at the sound. She stood in the middle of his living room, still clutching her backpack, looking lost. Logan guided her gently to the couch, the same couch he'd been sitting on just minutes ago when his biggest concern was whether to finish his beer. "Sit," he said softly. "I'll make some tea, or do you want something stronger?" Mia shook her head. "Tea is fine. Thank you." Logan moved to the kitchen, grateful for the task, for something to do with his hands. He put the kettle on, found 2 mugs, located the box of chamomile tea that someone had given him months ago and that he'd never touched. While the water heated, he dampened a clean kitchen towel with warm water and brought it to Mia. "For your face," he said, "if you want." She took it with shaking hands and pressed it to her eyes, wiping away the mascara streaks. When she lowered the towel, she looked younger, more vulnerable. "I'm sorry," she said. "I didn't know where else to go." "Don't apologize." Logan sat down in the armchair across from her, giving her space. "You don't ever have to apologize for asking for help." The kettle whistled. Logan made the tea, added honey to both mugs even though he usually took his black, and brought them back to the living room. Mia wrapped her hands around the mug like she was trying to absorb its warmth. They sat in silence for a few minutes. Logan didn't push. He'd learned from raising Emma that sometimes people just needed quiet, needed time to gather themselves before they could speak. Finally, Mia took a shaky breath. "I bet you heard some of that." "Yeah," Logan admitted. There was no point in lying. "The walls are pretty thin." She laughed, but it came out as a sob. "I'm so embarrassed." "You have nothing to be embarrassed about." "I do, though." She set down her mug, her hands twisting together in her lap. "I should have left months ago. I knew it wasn't right. I knew he was—" She stopped, swallowing hard. "But I kept telling myself it would get better, that I was overreacting, that I was the problem." Logan felt anger rising in his chest, but he kept his voice calm. "You're not the problem, Mia." "He checks my phone constantly," she said, the words starting to pour out now. "He has all my passwords. He questions me about every person I talk to, every client meeting I have, everywhere I go. He says it's because he loves me, because he wants to protect me. But it doesn't feel like love. It feels like I'm being watched all the time, like I can't breathe." She looked up at Logan, her eyes desperate. "Am I crazy? Is that normal? Maybe some couples do that. Maybe I'm just not cut out for—" "No." Logan's voice was firm. "That's not normal. That's not love. That's control." Mia's face crumpled. I know that. But he's so good at making me doubt myself. He tells me I'm too sensitive, that I'm always starting fights, that I'm lucky he puts up with me, and part of me believes him because maybe he's right. Maybe I am a mess. Maybe—" "Stop." Logan leaned forward, his voice gentle but insistent. Listen to me. You are not a mess. You run your own business. You're talented and creative and kind. You're an amazing person, and you deserve to be treated with respect. Tears spilled down Mia's cheeks. Tonight was worse than usual. He went out with his coworkers, came back drunk around 10, started playing music really loud, and when I asked him to turn it down, he got angry. Said I was always trying to control him, always nagging. Then his phone buzzed with a message, and I saw it. It was from this girl he works with, saying she missed him, asking when they could hang out again. Just the two of them. Logan's jaw tightened, but he stayed quiet, letting her talk. When I confronted him about it, he exploded, said I was paranoid, that they're just friends, that I'm so insecure I can't handle him having a normal work relationship. But the message didn't read like a work relationship, Logan. It read like, her voice broke, like there's something going on. And when I pushed back, when I stood up for myself, he grabbed his phone and threw it. It hit the wall right next to my head. Glass everywhere. Logan's hands clenched. Did he hurt you? Physically? No, he didn't touch me, but he threw the phone so hard, and it was so close. She wrapped her arms around herself. I've never seen him like that. I got scared, really scared. So I grabbed my backpack with my laptop and some clothes, and I just ran. I sat in the stairwell for 20 minutes, trying to figure out what to do. Then I heard him leave, heard his car pull away, and I thought maybe if I could just talk to someone, just have someone tell me I wasn't losing my mind. You're not losing your mind, Logan said firmly. What he did, throwing something at you, screaming at you, making you feel like you're the problem when he's the one who's wrong, that's abuse, Mia. That's emotional abuse, and what happened tonight could have escalated to physical abuse. You were right to get out. Mia nodded, wiping her eyes. I know I need to leave him. I know that. But I don't know how. We're on the lease together. All my stuff is in there. I don't have anywhere to go. You can stay here as long as you need, Logan said without hesitation. Tonight, tomorrow, however long it takes to figure things out. Emma's at a sleepover, so you can take her room tonight, and we'll figure out the rest later. I can't ask you to do that. You're not asking. I'm offering. Logan met her eyes. You're my friend, Mia. You were there for me when Jessica left, when I was barely holding it together and didn't know how to be a single dad. You were there. Now I'm here for you. That's what friends do. Fresh tears welled up in Mia's eyes, but this time they seemed like tears of relief more than pain. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you so much. Logan stood up. Come on, let me show you where everything is. You can take a shower if you want. Get into some comfortable clothes. I'll put fresh sheets on Emma's bed. He led her down the short hallway to Emma's room, which was decorated with posters of astronauts and planets. Logan quickly stripped the bed and remade it with clean sheets from the linen closet, while Mia stood in the doorway, watching. Bathroom's right across the hall, he said. Towels are in the cabinet. There's shampoo, soap, whatever you need. And if you want something to sleep in, I can grab you a t-shirt and some sweatpants. My backpack has some clothes, Mia said, but thank you. Logan showed her where the extra toothbrushes were. He kept a stash for Emma's friends who occasionally stayed over and made sure she had everything she needed. Then he left her alone to get ready for bed, returning to the living room to give her privacy. He sat back down on the couch, but there was no chance of sleep now. His mind was racing, anger and worry battling for dominance. He kept replaying what Mia had said, the phone checking, the isolation, the verbal abuse, and now the thrown phone that had come so close to hitting her. 20 minutes later, Mia emerged from the bathroom in pajama pants and a hoodie, her face scrubbed clean, her hair pulled back in a ponytail. She looked younger without the makeup, more like the college student Logan remembered. Feel better? He asked. A little. She sat down on the couch next to him, tucking her feet under her. I should try to sleep, but I don't think I can. My mind won't stop. Want to watch something? Sometimes distraction helps. Mia nodded gratefully. Logan found a nature documentary about oceans. Nothing heavy, nothing romantic, nothing that would trigger difficult thoughts. They sat together in the dim light of the TV, not talking, just existing in the same space. About halfway through, Mia spoke again. Can I ask you something? Of course. When Jessica left, how did you know it was really over? How did you know you weren't giving up too easily? Logan considered the question carefully. Because I spent months trying to fix something that was broken before I even knew it was broken. Jessica had already checked out emotionally long before she physically left. I was the only one fighting for the marriage, and you can't save something when only one person wants it saved. Did you love her? I thought I did, but looking back, I think I loved the idea of what we were supposed to be more than who we actually were. We wanted different things. She wanted freedom and adventure, and I wanted stability and family. Neither of us was wrong. We were just wrong for each other. Mia was quiet for a moment. I don't even know if Derek loves me. I think he loves having someone he can control, someone who makes him feel important. That's not love, Logan said quietly. Love doesn't make you feel small. It doesn't make you doubt yourself or walk on eggshells or feel afraid. What does it feel like then? Logan thought about that. It feels like safety. Like you can be your whole self, and that's not just okay. It's celebrated. It feels like partnership, like you're both choosing each other every day because you make each other better. It feels like home. Mia's eyes welled up again. I want that. I want to feel safe. You will, Logan promised. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but you will. And the first step is getting away from someone who makes you feel unsafe. They fell into silence again, the documentary playing on. Around 1 a.m, Logan noticed Mia's head drooping. She was fighting sleep, probably afraid of what dreams might come. Hey, he said gently, you should get some rest. You're safe here. The door's locked and I'll be right here on the couch if you need anything. Mia nodded, standing up slowly. Thank you, Logan, for everything. For not judging me, for not making me explain more than I could handle, for just being here. Always, he said simply. She started toward Emma's room, then turned back. Logan, will you leave your door open? I don't want to feel closed in. Of course. Logan made a show of propping his bedroom door open with a shoe, and Mia did the same with Emma's door. The gesture was small but significant, a way of maintaining connection while still having space. Logan settled onto the couch with a pillow and the throw blanket Emma had picked out last Christmas, covered in stars and planets. He could hear Mia moving around in the other room, getting into bed, the springs creaking slightly. Then, through the quiet apartment, he heard it again, soft crying, the kind someone does into their pillow when they think no one can hear. Logan stared at the ceiling, his hands clenched into fists at his sides. He thought about Derek, probably passed out drunk somewhere or shacked up with whoever had sent that text message. He thought about Mia, who'd spent months, maybe longer, being systematically torn down by someone who was supposed to build her up. He thought about Emma, asleep at her friend's house, blissfully unaware of the drama unfolding in their apartment building. He'd been so careful to shield her from pain, from chaos, from the kind of ugliness that existed in the world. But maybe he'd been too cautious. Maybe he'd been so focused on keeping his own life stable that he'd ignored what was happening right next door. Not anymore. Mia had asked for help, and Logan was going to make sure she got it. Whatever it took, finding her a new place to live, helping her get her stuff out of that apartment, standing between her and Derek if necessary, he would do it. Because that's what you did for people you cared about. You showed up. You stood firm. You became the kind of safe harbor they needed in the storm. The crying from the other room gradually quieted, replaced by the deep, even breathing of exhausted sleep. Logan remained awake for a long time after that, thinking about the fragility of safety, how quickly it could be shattered by the wrong person. Thinking about how many nights Mia had probably cried herself to sleep just on the other side of that thin wall while he'd been oblivious, focused on his own carefully constructed routine. Around 3 a.m, his phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Tell Mia she needs to come home. We need to talk about this like adults. Logan stared at the message, fury building in his chest. Derek had somehow gotten his number, probably from Mia's phone at some point. The audacity of it, the manipulation in those words, like adults, as if Mia was the one being childish by running from violence. He didn't respond. He blocked the number and set his phone face down on the coffee table. Whatever came next, whatever confrontation was brewing, Logan would be ready. because Mia had knocked on his door asking for safety, and he'd be damned if he let her down. Outside, rain began to fall against the windows, a soft Seattle drizzle that would probably last until morning. Inside, in the quiet darkness, Logan Carter made a silent promise to the friend sleeping in his daughter's room. You will never have to face him alone. Not tonight, not ever again. I've got you. And as he finally drifted towards sleep, he realized that his carefully controlled, predictable life had just become complicated in ways he couldn't have imagined. But for the first time in a long time, that complication felt like it mattered, like it was worth the chaos. Because some things were worth fighting for, and Mia Bennett's safety was one of them. Morning came too quickly. Logan woke to sunlight streaming through the living room windows and the sound of movement in the kitchen. For a disoriented moment, he forgot where he was, why he was on the couch instead of in his bed. Then it all came rushing back. Mia's tear-streaked face, the sound of shattering glass through the wall, Derek's venomous words. He sat up, his back protesting from a night on the couch, and saw Mia standing at the stove. She'd found the coffee maker and was pouring herself a cup, moving quietly like she was trying not to wake him. She wore the same hoodie from last night, her hair still pulled back, and in the morning light she looked fragile in a way that made Logan's chest ache. "Hey," he said softly. Mia jumped slightly, then turned with an apologetic smile. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to wake you. I couldn't sleep anymore, and I thought maybe coffee would help." "You didn't wake me." Logan stood, stretching. "Want me to make some breakfast?" "You don't have to do that." "I know I don't have to, but Emma's not coming home until noon, and I make a pretty decent omelet." He moved into the kitchen, gently taking over. "Sit. Let me do this." Mia settled at the small kitchen table, wrapping her hands around her coffee mug. Logan pulled eggs, cheese, and vegetables from the refrigerator, falling into the familiar rhythm of cooking. It gave him something to focus on besides the exhaustion etched into Mia's face. "Did you sleep at all?" he asked. "A few hours. I kept waking up thinking I heard—" She stopped, shaking her head. "Sorry, I'm being paranoid." "You're not being paranoid. You went through something traumatic last night." Logan cracked eggs into a bowl, whisking them together. "It's going to take time to feel safe again." Mia was quiet for a moment, watching him cook. "Has Derek tried to contact you?" Logan hesitated, then decided honesty was better than protection. "He texted me around 3 in the morning, said you needed to come home so you could talk like adults." I blocked the number. Mia's hands tightened around her mug. "He probably got your number from my phone months ago. He goes through my contacts, memorizes numbers of anyone he thinks might be a threat." "A threat to what?" "To his control over me." She said it matter-of-factly, like she'd come to terms with this truth sometime in the dark hours of the night. That's what last night made me realize. It's not about love or jealousy or protection. It's about control. About making sure I don't have anyone else I can turn to. Logan poured the eggs into the heated pan, adding cheese and diced peppers. "Has he isolated you from other friends?" "Gradually, yeah. At first it was subtle. He'd make comments about how my college friends were bad influences, or how my coworkers were unprofessional. Then he'd pick fights whenever I made plans with anyone. It was easier to just stop making plans." Mia's voice was steady, clinical, like she was analyzing someone else's relationship. "I didn't even realize it was happening until I looked up one day and realized you were the only person in Seattle I still talk to regularly, and that's only because you live next door, and he couldn't really stop me from running into you." "What about your family?" "My parents are in Florida. We talk on the phone every couple weeks, but Derek's usually hovering nearby, listening to every word. I've learned to keep the conversations light, superficial. My cousin Jenna is in Portland. She's the only one who's really pushed back, asked me if everything's okay. I kept telling her I was fine." Mia looked down at her coffee. "I wasn't fine." Logan plated the omelets and brought them to the table, sitting down across from her. "You're fine now, though. Or you will be." Mia picked up her fork but didn't eat right away. "I need to call Jenna. She's been telling me for months that Derek was bad news, that I should leave. I should have listened." "You're listening now. That's what matters." They ate in silence for a few minutes. Logan watched Mia push food around her plate, taking small bites like she had to force herself to eat. He recognized the behavior. Emma did the same thing when she was anxious about something. I have to go back to the apartment eventually, Mia said finally, to get my things, my work equipment, my clothes, all my design files. Everything's there. We'll figure it out, but not today. Today you just breathe and give yourself time to process. I can't afford to wait too long. I have client deadlines, projects I need to finish. Do you have your laptop? Mia nodded. It's in my backpack, and most of my files are backed up to the cloud so I can access them, but I need my external hard drives, my drawing tablet, my reference materials. Make a list, Logan said. Everything you absolutely need right away. Then we'll make a plan to get it safely. Derek still has a key to the apartment. He could come back any time. Then we make sure you're not alone when you go back. We bring people with us, your cousin, maybe, or we hire movers. We do it during the day when there are witnesses. We make it quick and efficient. Logan met her eyes. He doesn't get to keep you trapped there by fear. Mia's eyes filled with tears, but she blinked them back. Why are you doing this? Why are you being so nice to me? Because you're my friend. Because you deserve better than what he's given you. Because... Logan paused, choosing his words carefully. Because I've been where you are. Maybe not exactly the same situation, but I know what it's like to feel trapped, to feel like you've lost control of your own life. When Jessica left, I was drowning. You were one of the people who threw me a lifeline. You sent care packages, called to check on me, showed up with groceries when you knew I was barely holding it together. I haven't forgotten that. That was different. You didn't ask for what Jessica did. I chose Derek. I stayed with him even when I knew... Stop. Logan's voice was firm but gentle. You're not responsible for his behavior. You didn't make him abusive. You didn't deserve the way he treated you. And you're not weak for staying. You're strong for leaving. That's what matters. Mia wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. I'm going to call Jenna today. Ask if I can stay with her in Portland for a while. Get some distance. Figure out my next steps. That's a good plan. But first I need to get my stuff, and I need to deal with the lease. Mia took a shaky breath. We're both on it. I can't just walk away without consequences. Let me make some calls, Logan said. I have a friend who's a lawyer. She can tell us what your options are, what rights you have as a tenant in this situation. I can't afford a lawyer. She owes me a favor. And even if she didn't, she'd want to help. Trust me. Mia finally took a real bite of her omelet, and Logan saw some of the tension leave her shoulders. Thank you, she said quietly. I don't know how I'm going to repay you for all this. You don't have to repay me. You just have to take care of yourself and build the life you deserve. They finished breakfast, and Logan cleaned up while Mia showered and changed into fresh clothes from her backpack. When she emerged, looking more put together but still fragile, she had her phone in her hand. I'm going to call Jenna now, she said. Is it okay if I use your bedroom for privacy? Of course, take all the time you need. Mia disappeared into Logan's room, closing the door behind her. Logan used the time to text his friend Rachel, the lawyer he'd mentioned. He kept the message vague, just said he had a friend who needed advice about a domestic situation and a lease issue. Rachel responded within minutes, saying she could meet them tomorrow if needed. Through the bedroom door, Logan could hear the rise and fall of Mia's voice, though he couldn't make out the words. At one point, he heard crying, then laughter, then more crying. The conversation lasted nearly half an hour. When Mia finally emerged, her eyes were red, but her expression was determined. Jenna's driving up here tomorrow. She says I'm staying with her for as long as I need, no arguments. She also said, Mia's voice cracked slightly, she said she's proud of me for finally leaving. She should be. It takes courage to do what you did. She wants to come with me when I get my stuff from the apartment. She's bringing her boyfriend Marcus, too. He used to be a bouncer, apparently, just in case Derek shows up and tries anything. Good. The more people, the better. Logan pulled out his phone. What day works? I'm coming, too. You don't have to... I'm coming. His tone left no room for argument. I'll ask my neighbor Mrs. Chen if she can watch Emma for a few hours. She loves having her over. Mia nodded, something like relief washing over her face. Jenna suggested Tuesday morning. Derek usually has meetings all morning on Tuesdays. He's obsessive about his schedule, posts it all over social media. If we go then, he probably won't be there. Tuesday morning, it is. The rest of the day passed in a strange limbo. Logan picked up Emma from her sleepover, and when she bounded into the apartment full of energy and stories, he pulled her aside and explained, in age-appropriate terms, that Mia was staying with them for a little while because she needed help. Emma, with the uncomplicated kindness of children, simply asked if that meant Mia could help her with the watercolor painting she'd been working on. Mia, for her part, seemed grateful for the distraction. She spent the afternoon with Emma, mixing paints and talking about color theory while Logan worked on his laptop, catching up on emails and work tasks he'd let slide. Every so often he'd glance over and see Mia laughing at something Emma said, and he'd feel a fierce protectiveness surge through him. That evening, after Emma was asleep, Logan and Mia sat in the living room again. She'd spent the day making lists, things she needed from the apartment, clients she needed to contact, steps she needed to take to untangle her life from Derek's. "I've been thinking about the lease," she said, staring at the notepad in her lap. "I've paid my half of the rent for the last 6 months. I have bank statements proving it. If I leave and he can't cover the full amount, that's his problem, right?" "That's a question for Rachel, but probably yes, especially given the circumstances. I documented some of tonight, you know." Mia's voice was quiet. "After I ran out before I came to your door, I took pictures of the broken phone, the glass on the floor, the hole in the wall where it hit. I don't know if that helps legally, but that's smart, really smart. Jenna told me to document everything from now on, every text, every call, every interaction. She said guys like Derek don't just let go easily." Logan felt a chill run down his spine. "Has he tried to contact you today?" 17 times. Mia held up her phone, showing him the call log. "I haven't answered. He's left voicemails too. I haven't listened to them yet. I'm not ready." "You don't have to listen to them. You don't owe him anything." "Part of me wants to, though. Part of me wants to hear if he's sorry, if he's—" She stopped herself. "That's stupid, isn't it? He's not sorry. He's just angry that he lost control." "It's not stupid. It's human. You spent months with him, and some part of you still wants to believe he's capable of change." "But Mia—" Logan leaned forward, making sure she was looking at him. "People like Derek don't change unless they want to, and they rarely want to. The best thing you can do is protect yourself and move forward." Mia nodded slowly. "Jenna said the same thing. She said I need to block his number, block him on social media, cut off all contact except through a third party if necessary." "She's right. It feels harsh. It's self-preservation. There's a difference." Mia was quiet for a long moment, turning her phone over in her hands. Then, with a decisive movement, she opened her contacts, found Derek's number, and blocked it. She did the same on Instagram, Facebook, everywhere he might reach her. "There," she said, her voice shaking slightly. "Done." "How does it feel?" "Terrifying and liberating, both at the same time." Logan understood that. "The fear will fade, the freedom won't." They talked late into the night, about Derek, about the relationship, about all the red flags Mia had missed or ignored. She told him about the early days when Derek had been charming and attentive, how he'd love-bombed her with gifts and constant attention. She told him about how gradually the compliments had turned to criticisms, the attention had turned to surveillance, the gifts had become tools for manipulation. "He'd buy me expensive things I didn't ask for, then use them as leverage," she explained. "Like, after everything I do for you, after all I've bought you, this is how you treat me." It made me feel guilty for being unhappy. "That's classic manipulation," Logan said, "making you feel like you owe him for basic decency." "I know that now, but in the moment it was so confusing. He'd be cruel, then apologize with grand gestures, and I'd think maybe I was being too hard on him. Maybe I was the problem." "You weren't the problem. You were never the problem." Around midnight, Mia finally went to bed in Emma's room again. Logan offered her his bedroom, but she said she felt safer in the smaller space, closer to the living room where Logan would be sleeping. He understood. After months of feeling unsafe, she needed to create whatever sense of security she could find. Logan settled onto the couch, but sleep didn't come easily. He kept thinking about Tuesday, about the confrontation that might be waiting for them at Mia's apartment. He thought about Derek's text from the night before, the presumption in it, the entitlement. He also thought about Mia, about the strength it had taken to knock on his door instead of going back to Derek, to make those phone calls today, to block those numbers. She didn't see it yet, but she was already so much stronger than she realized. His phone buzzed. A text from Rachel. Available tomorrow at 2 p.m. if your friend wants to talk. Coffee shop on Pike Street. Let me know. Logan responded with a quick thanks and made a mental note to tell Mia in the morning. Slowly, they were building the support system she'd need to really break free. The next day, Sunday, Mia met with Rachel while Logan took Emma to the park. Rachel was a sharp, no-nonsense lawyer who'd helped Logan navigate the legal aspects of his divorce years ago. She took notes while Mia explained the situation, asked pointed questions about the lease, about Derek's behavior, about what Mia wanted the outcome to be. When they met up afterward, Mia looked both exhausted and relieved. Rachel says I have options, she told Logan while Emma played on the swings. She said, given the documented evidence of domestic violence, yes, she said, throwing something at me counts. I might be able to break the lease without penalty. She's going to make some calls, talk to the landlord. She also said if Derek harasses me or tries to force contact, I should consider a restraining order. What do you think about that? I don't know. It feels extreme, but Rachel said it's not about punishment, it's about creating legal boundaries. Mia watched Emma swing higher and higher. She also said I should expect Derek to escalate before he backs off, that controlling partners often get worse when they realize they're losing control. Logan felt that familiar protective anger rising. All the more reason to have people around you on Tuesday. Yeah, Mia's voice was small. I'm scared, Logan. I'm scared of seeing him again, scared of what he'll say, scared that part of me will believe him if he tries to apologize. That's why you're not going alone. That's why Jenna and Marcus and I will be there. You don't have to be strong by yourself, Emma called out from the swings, asking them to watch her jump. They both turned their attention to her, and Logan was grateful for the interruption, for the reminder that life continued, that there was still joy and lightness even in the midst of crisis. That night, Jenna arrived from Portland. She was a force of nature, tall, broad-shouldered, with short dark hair and a direct manner that reminded Logan of Rachel. She swept into Logan's apartment, hugged Mia so hard she lifted her off the ground, then turned to Logan with an appraising look. You're the neighbor, she said. That's me. Mia says you've been taking care of her. Just doing what anyone would do. No, Jenna's voice was firm. Not anyone. Most people would have minded their own business. Thank you. Marcus, Jenna's boyfriend, was quieter. A big guy with kind eyes who shook Logan's hand and immediately asked if there was anything he could do to help. Logan liked them both instantly. They spent the evening planning Tuesday's operation like a military strike. Jenna made a detailed list of everything Mia needed from the apartment, prioritizing essentials. Marcus mapped out the most efficient route through the space to grab everything quickly. Logan confirmed Mrs. Chen could watch Emma, and Rachel agreed to be on standby by phone in case any legal issues arose. We go in at 10, Jenna said. Derek's meeting schedule shows he's got back-to-back calls from 9:30 to noon. We get there at 10, we're out by 11. Fast and efficient. What if he comes home early? Mia asked. Then Marcus and Logan create a buffer while you and I grab your stuff, Jenna said calmly. We stay calm, we don't engage beyond what's necessary, and if he gets aggressive, we call the police. We're not doing anything illegal. You live there, you have a right to your belongings. Mia nodded, but Logan could see the fear in her eyes. He caught her gaze across the room and gave her what he hoped was a reassuring look. We've got this, he mouthed. She gave him a shaky smile in return. Monday passed in a blur of preparation. Mia worked on client projects, trying to maintain some sense of normalcy. Jenna ran errands, buying boxes and packing supplies. Marcus and Logan moved furniture in Logan's apartment to make room for Mia's things temporarily until she could figure out longer-term plans. That evening, as they were finishing dinner, Mia's phone rang from an unknown number. She stared at it, frozen. Don't answer it, Jenna said immediately. It might be a client. Let it go to voicemail. If it's a client, they'll leave a message. The call went to voicemail. 30 seconds later, Mia's phone chimed with a new message. She put it on speaker. Derek's voice filled the room, and Logan felt every muscle in his body tense. Mia, baby, Please call me back. I know you're upset, and you have every right to be. I was drunk. I was stupid. I said things I didn't mean. But we can work through this. We always work through things. Just come home and let's talk about this like adults. I love you. Please call me back." The message ended. Mia sat completely still, her face pale. "Classic abuser playbook," Jenna said flatly. "Minimize the violence, blame the alcohol, promise change, profess love. Don't fall for it, Mia." "I'm not," Mia said, but her voice wavered. "I'm not going back. Hearing his voice, I know." Jenna moved to sit next to her cousin, taking her hand. "It's hard. But you know what he's doing. You know this is manipulation." Mia nodded, squeezing Jenna's hand. "Save it," she said finally. "Rachel said to document everything, so we save it." Logan felt a surge of pride. Even scared, even shaken, Mia was thinking clearly, protecting herself. That night, Logan couldn't sleep. He lay on the couch, staring at the ceiling, thinking about tomorrow. He wasn't a violent person. He'd never been in a fight in his life. But he knew if Derek tried to hurt Mia, something primal in him would respond. He had to stay calm, had to be the steady presence Mia needed. Around 2 a.m, he heard footsteps. Mia emerged from Emma's room, wrapped in a blanket. "Can't sleep either?" Logan asked quietly. "Every time I close my eyes, I see his face, hear his voice." She sat down on the armchair. "I keep playing out tomorrow in my head. All the ways it could go wrong. It's not going to go wrong. We have a plan, we have people, and you're not alone." "What if I freeze? What if I see him and I just freeze?" "Then we handle it. Jenna and I will get your stuff while Marcus keeps you safe. But I don't think you'll freeze, Mia. You're stronger than you think." "I don't feel strong." Strength isn't about never being afraid. It's about doing what needs to be done even when you're terrified. And that's what you're doing. They sat in the darkness together, two people bound by circumstance and friendship, waiting for morning to come. And when it finally did, when the first light of Tuesday began to creep through the windows, Logan felt that same fierce determination settling over him. Today, they would walk into that apartment and take back what was Mia's. Today, she would reclaim her life. And Logan would make sure she had every ounce of support she needed to do it. Whatever came next, they would face it together. Tuesday morning arrived cold and gray, typical Seattle weather that matched the tension coiled in Logan's chest. He dropped Emma at Mrs. Chen's apartment at 9:30, kissing the top of her head and promising to pick her up in a few hours. Emma, bless her, seemed to sense something important was happening and gave him an extra tight hug before skipping inside. When Logan returned to his apartment, Jenna, Marcus, and Mia were already preparing. Mia looked pale but composed, dressed in jeans and a sweater, her hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. She'd barely touched the toast Logan had made for breakfast, and her hands trembled slightly as she checked her phone one more time. "His last Instagram story was posted 20 minutes ago," she said, showing them Derek's account. "He's in his home office on a video call. Background looks like the apartment." "So he's there," Jenna said grimly. "We knew that was a possibility." "We stick to the plan," Marcus added, his deep voice calm and steady. "We go in, we're polite but firm, we get what we need, and we leave. If he escalates, we don't engage. We document and we leave." Logan met Mia's eyes. "You ready?" She took a shaky breath. "No, but I'm doing it anyway." They drove in Marcus's SUV, which had enough cargo space for boxes and bags. The 10-minute drive felt endless. Mia sat in the back seat between Logan and Jenna, her knee bouncing nervously. Jenna kept one hand on her cousin's arm, a grounding presence. When they pulled into the parking lot of the apartment complex, Logan felt his heart rate spike. This was the building he'd lived in for years, the place that was supposed to be home. But looking at it now through Mia's eyes, he saw it differently, saw the cage it had become for her. They climbed the stairs to the second floor, carrying empty boxes and duffel bags. Logan's apartment was on the left, Mia and Derek's on the right. The hallway was empty, quiet except for the sound of someone's television playing through a door somewhere down the corridor. Mia stood in front of her apartment door, key in hand, frozen. "I can open it if you want," Jenna offered gently. Mia shook her head. "No, I need to do this." She slid the key into the lock and turned it. The deadbolt clicked open with a sound that seemed too loud in the quiet hallway. The door swung inward, revealing the apartment Logan had only been inside a handful of times. It looked different than he remembered, messier, with Derek's belongings scattered everywhere. Expensive sneakers lined up by the door, tech gadgets on every surface, protein shake containers on the kitchen counter. The air smelled stale, like someone who'd been drinking hadn't opened a window in days. They stepped inside carefully, and immediately Logan saw the evidence of Saturday night's violence. A hole in the wall near the kitchen, about head height. Broken glass still scattered in the corner where the phone had shattered. The sight of it made his blood run cold. "Mia?" Derek's voice came from the bedroom, sharp with surprise. "Mia? Is that you?" Footsteps, and then Derek appeared in the hallway wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt, laptop in hand. He looked rough, unshaven, dark circles under his eyes, hair uncombed. When he saw Mia wasn't alone, his expression shifted from surprise to anger. "What the hell is this?" he demanded, his eyes sweeping over the group. "Who are these people?" "This is my cousin Jenna and her boyfriend Marcus," Mia said, her voice stronger than Logan expected. "You know Logan. We're here to get my things." "Your things? Babe, what are you talking about? This is our apartment. You live here." "Not anymore." Mia moved toward the bedroom, but Derek stepped into her path. "Not anymore? Mia, come on, you can't just... We need to talk about this. Alone." His eyes flickered to the others with barely concealed hostility. "Without an audience." "There's nothing to talk about," Mia said, but Logan heard the waver in her voice. "I'm getting my stuff and I'm leaving." Derek's expression softened, switching tactics so smoothly it was almost impressive. "Baby, please. I know I screwed up Saturday night. I was drunk. I was an idiot. But we can work through this. We always work through things." He reached for her hand and Mia instinctively stepped back. "Don't touch me." The rejection clearly stung, and Derek's mask slipped for just a moment, showing the anger beneath. "I'm trying to apologize here. I'm trying to make this right." "But you won't even give me a chance?" "You threw your phone at my head," Mia said, her voice rising. "You screamed at me. You told me I was nothing without you. You made me feel unsafe in my own home. That's not something I'm going to work through. It was one bad night, one mistake." "Are you really going to throw away everything we have because of one mistake?" "It wasn't one mistake." Mia's hands clenched into fists at her sides. "It's been months of you controlling me, checking my phone, isolating me from my friends, making me doubt myself. Saturday night was just the final straw." Derek's jaw tightened. "Is this him?" He gestured sharply at Logan. "Is this about your neighbor? Did he get in your head, tell you I'm some kind of monster?" "This has nothing to do with Logan," Mia said firmly. "This is about you and me and the fact that I'm not happy. I haven't been happy in a long time." "So you're just going to leave? Just like that? After everything I've done for you?" "Everything you've done to me, you mean?" Jenna interjected, her voice cold as ice. "Mia's made her decision. Now step aside so we can get her belongings." Derek's attention snapped to Jenna. "And who the hell are you to come into my home and tell me what to do?" "I'm family. And unlike you, I actually care about Mia's well-being." "You don't know anything about us," Derek spat. "You don't know what we have. Mia, tell them. Tell them how good we are together when you're not being crazy." Logan felt Marcus tense beside him, ready to intervene if needed. But it was Mia who spoke, her voice cutting through the tension like a knife. "Stop it, Derek. Just stop. I'm done with the gaslighting, done with you making me think I'm the problem. I'm taking my things and I'm leaving. You can keep the apartment, keep the lease. I don't care. I just want out. You can't just leave me with the full rent. That's not fair." "Fair?" Mia's voice rose to a shout, months of suppressed anger finally breaking free. "You want to talk about fair? Was it fair when you went through my phone every single day? Was it fair when you made me stop seeing my friends? Was it fair when you told me I was lucky anyone put up with me?" Derek's face flushed red. "I never said that." "Yes, you did. Saturday night, you said exactly that. And you've said it before in different ways. You've spent months tearing me down, making me small, and I'm done." Mia moved past him toward the bedroom, and this time Derek didn't try to stop her. She disappeared into the bedroom, and Jenna followed immediately. Logan and Marcus stayed in the living room with Derek, creating a buffer. Derek paced like a caged animal, running his hands through his hair. "This is insane," he muttered. "Completely insane. One fight and she's throwing away our entire relationship." "It wasn't one fight," Logan said quietly. "And you know it." Derek's eyes snapped to him. "Oh, here we go, the hero neighbor. You've been waiting for this, haven't you? Waiting for a chance to swoop in and play knight in shining armor." "I'm just helping a friend." "A friend?" Derek laughed bitterly. "Is that what you call it? How long have you two been planning this? How long have you been sleeping with my girlfriend behind my back?" "That's not what's happening here." "Bullshit. You think I'm stupid? You think I didn't notice the way you look at her, the way she talks about you?" Derek stepped closer, and Marcus immediately moved to stand beside Logan. "Back up," Marcus said calmly. "We're not doing this." "You're in my apartment. You don't get to tell me what to do." From the bedroom, they could hear Mia and Jenna moving quickly, opening drawers, filling boxes. Derek's attention kept flickering toward the bedroom door, clearly torn between continuing his confrontation and stopping Mia from packing. "She's making a huge mistake," Derek said, his voice taking on a pleading quality now. "Someone needs to tell her she's making a huge mistake. Logan, man to man, you know how emotional women can get. She's not thinking clearly right now. She just needs some time to calm down." Logan felt disgust rise in his throat. "She's thinking perfectly clearly, and she's not emotional. She's done. There's a difference. You don't understand what we have, what we've built together. I understand that you hurt her. That's all I need to know." Derek's expression hardened. "She'll come back. She always comes back. She needs me more than she wants to admit. I don't think she's coming back this time. We'll see about that." Derek pulled out his phone, typing furiously. "We'll just see about that." A moment later, Mia emerged from the bedroom carrying a box full of clothes. Her face was streaked with tears, but her jaw was set with determination. Jenna followed with another box, and they made their way to the door. "This is it?" Derek said incredulously. "You're really doing this? After 3 years together?" Mia paused at the door, turning to look at him one last time. 3 years of my life I'll never get back. 3 years of trying to be enough for someone who made me feel like I never was. I'm done trying, Derek. I'm done shrinking myself to fit into your idea of who I should be." "You'll regret this," Derek said, and there was something dark in his tone that made Logan's skin crawl. "You think you're going to be fine without me? You think anyone else is going to want damaged goods?" Jenna stepped between them. "That's enough. We're leaving now." They made 2 more trips, loading boxes into Marcus's SUV while Derek watched from the apartment doorway, his expression unreadable. On the 3rd trip, Mia went straight to her small office space in the corner of the living room, unplugging her computer equipment with shaking hands. "You can't take the desk," Derek said. "I bought that desk." "I'm not taking the desk. I'm taking my computer, my tablet, my hard drives, all the things I bought with my own money for my business." "Your business," Derek laughed harshly. "Your little hobby that barely makes rent." "My business that has supported half this household for the last year while you were between opportunities," Mia shot back. "My business that you belittled every chance you got." She gathered her equipment carefully, and Logan helped her carry it out. As they were loading it into the car, Derek appeared in the parking lot. "Mia, wait, please." His voice cracked. "Can we just talk, just the 2 of us, for 5 minutes?" Mia looked at Jenna, who shook her head firmly. "Not a good idea." "I'm not going to hurt her," Derek protested. "I just want to talk." "Is that really too much to ask?" Mia took a deep breath. "You can say whatever you need to say right here, with witnesses. I'm not going anywhere alone with you." Derek's face crumpled, and for a moment he looked genuinely devastated. "How did we get here? How did we go from planning a future together to this?" "We got here because you made me afraid," Mia said softly. "We got here because love isn't supposed to feel like control. And I finally realized that what we had wasn't love at all. It was love. It is love. I love you, Mia. I know I'm not perfect. I know I have issues, but I love you. Love doesn't throw things. Love doesn't scream. Love doesn't make the other person feel worthless." Mia's voice was steady now, clear. "You might think you love me, Derek, but this isn't what love looks like." "So that's it? You're just done? After everything?" "Yes, I'm done." Derek's expression shifted again, the vulnerability replaced by cold anger. Fine. You want to leave? Leave. But you're going to regret this. You're going to realize what you gave up, and when you come crawling back, don't expect me to take you. I won't be coming back. We'll see. You've got nowhere to go, no support system here. Your business is hanging by a thread. She has support, Logan interjected. She has people who actually care about her. Derek's eyes fixed on Logan with pure hatred. Of course. The hero neighbor rides to the rescue. How convenient. How long have you been waiting for this, Logan? How long have you been circling, waiting for your chance? Derek, stop, Mia said wearily. There's nothing between Logan and me except friendship. This isn't about him. This is about us, and the fact that us is over. You're making a mistake, Derek said, his voice low and threatening. A huge mistake. And you're going to realize it when you're alone and broke and have no one. Then that's my mistake to make, Mia said. She turned away from him, walking back toward the apartment building for the last load. They made one final trip, gathering Mia's art supplies, her grandmother's kitchen tools that she'd mentioned that first night, her books and personal items. Derek had retreated into the apartment, but Logan could feel him watching from the window. When Mia emerged with the last box, full of sketchbooks and photographs, memories of a life before Derek, her hands were shaking so badly she almost dropped it. Logan took it from her gently. You okay? He asked. She shook her head. Not yet, but I will be. They loaded everything into the SUV, and Mia stood in the parking lot for a long moment, looking up at the apartment she'd shared with Derek. Logan saw her shoulders rise and fall with a deep breath, saw the way she straightened her spine. I need to leave the key, she said quietly. I'll do it, Jenna offered. No, I need to. Mia walked back to the apartment one last time. Derek was standing in the doorway, and Logan tensed, ready to intervene if needed. But Mia simply held out the key. I'm leaving this with you. I'll be in touch through Rachel, she's my lawyer, about breaking the lease. Don't contact me directly. Don't call, don't text, don't show up wherever I'm staying. If you try, I'll file for a restraining order. Do you understand? Derek stared at her for a long moment, then snatched the key from her hand. You're going to regret this, he said one more time. Maybe, but at least I'll be safe while I figure that out. Mia turned and walked away, and Logan saw the exact moment Derek realized she really meant it. His face contorted with rage, and he slammed the door so hard the building seemed to shake. Mia didn't look back. She climbed into the SUV, and Marcus pulled out of the parking lot. Logan watched Derek's window, saw the curtain twitch. Something told him this wasn't over, not really. But for now, Mia was safe. For now, she was free. They drove to Logan's apartment in silence. Mia sat in the back seat, staring out the window with tears streaming down her face. Jenna held her hand, saying nothing, just being present. When they pulled into Logan's parking lot, Mia finally spoke. I did it. You did it, Jenna confirmed, pride evident in her voice. I actually left him. You actually left him? Mia let out a sound that was half laugh, half sob. Why do I feel terrible? Why do I feel like I just made the worst mistake of my life? Because leaving is hard, Logan said from the front seat. Even when it's the right thing to do, even when you know you have to, it's still hard. They carried everything up to Logan's apartment, stacking boxes in the corner of his living room. It was a lot, more than Logan had expected, physical proof of the life Mia had been living, the person she'd been trying to be. I can store most of this stuff until you're ready to deal with it, Logan offered. No rush. Mia nodded, looking overwhelmed. Thank you for everything, for coming with me, for not letting me face him alone, for... Her voice broke. For helping me be brave. You were already brave, Logan said. We just stood next to you while you proved it. Marcus and Jenna stayed for lunch, ordering pizza and trying to keep the mood light. But Mia was quiet, picking at her food, clearly processing everything that had just happened. Around 3 o'clock, she looked up at Jenna. Can we go to Portland tonight instead of tomorrow? I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be this close to him. Of course, Jenna said immediately. We can leave whenever you're ready. Now? Can we go now? Jenna looked at Marcus, who nodded. I'll go gas up the car. We can be on the road in 20 minutes. They moved quickly, repacking Mia's essential items into duffel bags for the trip. Logan helped carry things down to the SUV, his chest tight with an emotion he couldn't quite name. Relief that Mia was getting away, sadness that she was leaving, worry about what would happen next. When everything was loaded, Mia turned to him. I don't know how to thank you for what you've done. You don't have to thank me. You just have to take care of yourself. I will. Or I'll try. She hugged him, and Logan held on maybe a moment longer than strictly necessary. I'll call you when we get there. Let you know I'm safe. Please do. She pulled back, wiping her eyes. And Logan, will you check on the apartment sometimes? Make sure Derek doesn't, I don't know, trash the place or something? I know I shouldn't care, but I'll keep an eye on it. I promise. Mia climbed into the back seat of the SUV, and Jenna rolled down the window. Take care of yourself too, she told Logan, and if Derek gives you any trouble, call me immediately. I will. Marcus started the engine and Logan stepped back. He watched the SUV pull out of the parking lot, watched it turn onto the main road and disappear from sight. Only then did he allow himself to feel the full weight of the last few days. He went back upstairs, let himself into his quiet apartment. Mrs. Chen wouldn't bring Emma home for another hour. The apartment felt empty, full of ghosts, Mia's tears on Saturday night, her fear, her courage this morning. Logan sank onto the couch and let out a long breath. His phone buzzed, a text from Rachel. Heard it went relatively smoothly. Good. I'll start the lease negotiation process. Keep documenting everything just in case. He responded with thanks, then sat in the quiet thinking. About Derek's face when Mia had walked away. About the rage barely contained beneath the surface. About the threat implicit in his final words. You're going to regret this. Logan hoped Derek would just let it go, move on, find someone else to control. But something in his gut told him it wouldn't be that simple. Guys like Derek didn't like losing, and they especially didn't like losing to someone they considered beneath them. Logan made a decision. He opened his phone's camera, went to his door, and took a photo of the hallway, the view of Derek's door. He'd document anything unusual, keep a record, be prepared. Because Mia might be 2 hours away in Portland, but Logan was still right next door to Derek. And if Derek wanted to lash out, Logan would be the easiest target. He thought about texting Mia, warning her to be careful. But she'd been through enough today. She needed distance, needed space to breathe and heal. Logan could handle Derek if it came to that. The afternoon sun slanted through the windows, and Logan realized he was exhausted. Not just physically, but emotionally. The tension of the morning, the confrontation, watching Mia walk away from 3 years of her life, it had all taken a toll. His phone rang. Mia. Hey, he answered. You okay? We're about an hour outside Seattle, she said, her voice thick with tears. I needed to hear a friendly voice, needed to know I did the right thing. You did the right thing, Logan said firmly, without question. Then why does it hurt so much? Because you're grieving, not for what you had with Derek, but for what you hoped it could have been. You're grieving the future you thought you'd have, and that's normal. That's okay. Mia was quiet for a moment. You're good at this. The whole emotional support thing. 4 years of single parenting teaches you some things. She laughed, watery but genuine. Thank you, Logan, for everything. I mean it. Anytime. Now go be with Jenna. Let yourself feel whatever you need to feel and know that you're safe. I'm safe, she repeated, like she was trying to convince herself. I'm actually safe. They said goodbye and Logan set his phone down. Through the thin wall, he could hear movement in Derek's apartment. Footsteps, the sound of something being thrown, a muffled shout of frustration. Logan stood, walked to the shared wall, and pressed his hand against it. On the other side was a man whose world had just crumbled, whose control had just slipped away. Logan didn't feel sorry for him. Derek had made his choices, had created this situation through his own actions, but he did feel wary, cautious, ready, because this wasn't over, not yet. And Logan needed to be prepared for whatever came next. The first week after Mia left for Portland, Logan found himself listening to the wall more than he wanted to admit. Derek's apartment had become a source of constant low-level noise. music at odd hours, raised voices during phone calls, the occasional crash of something being thrown. Logan documented it all, taking notes with timestamps, just in case. Emma noticed the change in their neighbor's behavior too. One morning over breakfast, she looked up from her cereal and asked, "Why is Mr. Derek so loud now? Is he sad that Miss Mia left?" Logan chose his words carefully. "Sometimes when people are upset, they don't handle it well, but it's not our problem to fix, okay?" "Did Miss Mia leave because he was mean to her?" Logan paused, surprised by his daughter's perception. "What makes you ask that?" Emma shrugged, stirring her cereal. She always seemed nervous around him, like she was worried about doing something wrong, and he never smiled at her the way you smile at me. The observation hit Logan harder than he expected. If a 7-year-old could see the dysfunction in that relationship, how had it gone on for so long? "Yeah, sweetie, he wasn't treating her the way she deserved, so she decided to leave and be somewhere safer." That was brave of her. It really was. "I miss her," Emma said quietly. "Will she ever come back to visit?" "Maybe someday, but right now she needs to focus on taking care of herself." Emma seemed to accept this, returning to her breakfast. But Logan felt the absence too, the empty apartment next door that had briefly held someone he cared about, someone who'd reminded him that his carefully controlled life had maybe become too small. Mia called every few days, usually in the evening after Emma was asleep. She'd tell Logan about Portland, about the therapy sessions Jenna had helped her set up, about the slow process of rebuilding her confidence. Her voice sounded different each time, sometimes lighter, sometimes weighted with grief, but gradually growing stronger. "I had my first client meeting yesterday," she told him one Thursday night, 2 weeks after leaving Seattle. "Like, in person, at a coffee shop. And I didn't check my phone once to see if Derek had messaged. Didn't worry about getting permission to be there. I just existed as myself. It was weird and wonderful." "That's huge progress," Logan said, settling into his usual spot on the couch. "I know it sounds stupid, celebrating something so basic. It's not stupid. It's reclaiming your autonomy piece by piece." "My therapist said something similar." Mia laughed softly. "She's really good, actually. Specializes in trauma from abusive relationships. She helped me see patterns I didn't even realize were patterns. Like how I'd always ask Derek's opinion before making any decision, even about my own work. How I'd preemptively apologize for things that weren't my fault. How I'd trained myself to be smaller and quieter to avoid conflict." Logan felt anger rise in his chest, the same anger he'd felt watching Derek belittle Mia in that apartment. "You're not doing that anymore, though." "I'm trying not to. It's hard. I catch myself about to apologize to the barista for ordering coffee, and I have to consciously stop myself." She paused. "How are things there? Has Derek bothered you?" Logan debated how much to tell her. "He's been loud, playing music at weird hours, having people over late at night, but he hasn't directly contacted me or caused any real trouble." "That's good. Rachel said the landlord is willing to let me off the lease early with documented cause. Derek will have to cover the full rent or find a new roommate. Part of me feels guilty about that." "Don't. He made his choices." "I know. My therapist says the guilt is part of the pattern too, feeling responsible for his emotions, his problems, his life. She says it'll take time to unlearn." They talked for another hour, and when they finally said goodnight, Logan felt both comforted and unsettled. Comforted because Mia was clearly doing better, finding her footing. Unsettled because he missed having her close, missed the easy friendship they'd rediscovered before Derek had poisoned it. The next morning, Logan found a note taped to his door. Just 4 words in Derek's aggressive handwriting. "This is your fault." Logan took a photo of it, sent it to Rachel, then threw it away. He didn't respond, didn't engage. That's what Derek wanted. A reaction, a confrontation, something to justify his anger. But 3 days later, Logan came home from work to find his car keyed. A long scratch down the driver's side, deliberate and deep. He stood in the parking lot, staring at the damage, fury and frustration warring inside him. Mrs. Chen appeared at his elbow, her small frame radiating indignation. "I saw who did it," she said without preamble. "That angry man from upstairs, Derek. He came down around lunchtime, looked around like he was checking for witnesses, then took his keys to your car. I called the police, but they said without video evidence, it's just he said, she said. Logan closed his eyes, forcing himself to stay calm. Thank you for calling them anyway, Mrs. Chen. That boy is troubled, she said firmly. Ever since the nice girl left, he's been acting crazy. Yelling at all hours, slamming doors. You should be careful, Logan. Men like that, when they lose control of one thing, they look for something else to control. Her words echoed in Logan's head as he documented the damage, filed a police report, and called his insurance company. He texted Rachel photos of everything, and she responded immediately. This is harassment. Document everything. If it continues, we can file for a restraining order. Logan didn't tell Mia. She was doing so well in Portland, making real progress. She didn't need to know that Derek was lashing out at the person who'd helped her escape. This was Logan's problem to handle. But that night, as he lay on the couch trying to sleep, he heard Derek's door open. Footsteps in the hallway, deliberately loud. Then silence. Logan got up, looked through his peephole, and saw Derek standing in the hallway, staring at Logan's door. Logan didn't open it. He just stood there, watching through the tiny circle of glass until Derek finally walked away, muttering something Logan couldn't make out. The next morning, Logan took Emma to school, then stopped by the building manager's office. He explained the situation, carefully, factually, with photos and documentation. The manager, a tired-looking woman named Patricia, listened with increasing concern. I can't evict him without cause, she said finally. But I can talk to him, give him a warning about the noise complaints, and I'll install a security camera in the hallway. If he's harassing you, we need evidence. Thank you. I appreciate that. Patricia studied him for a moment. You helped that girl get away from him, didn't you? Mia? Logan nodded. Good, she said firmly. I heard them fighting through these thin walls more times than I can count. I always wondered when she'd finally leave. I'm glad she had someone looking out for her. The security camera went up that afternoon, a small black dome in the hallway ceiling. Logan felt a measure of relief seeing it there. At least now there would be evidence if Derek tried anything else. But Derek seemed to sense the camera's presence. His harassment became more subtle. He'd run his washing machine at 2 a.m, the vibration traveling through the walls and waking Logan. He'd blast music for exactly 30 minutes, just under the time frame that would warrant a noise complaint, then shut it off. He'd park his car so close to Logan's that Logan could barely open his driver's side door. It was petty, calculated, and exhausting. Logan found himself constantly on edge, waiting for the next small violation, the next passive-aggressive attack. 3 weeks after Mia left, she called with news that made Logan's chest tighten with an emotion he didn't want to examine too closely. I got a job offer, she said, excitement clear in her voice. A design firm here in Portland. It's full-time with benefits, which means steady income and health insurance. Real stability for the first time in years. Mia, that's amazing. Congratulations. Thank you. I start in 2 weeks. She paused. It means I'm staying in Portland, like really staying. I'm signing a lease on my own apartment this weekend. 1 bedroom, nothing fancy, but it's mine. All mine. Logan felt happiness for her warring with something that felt uncomfortably like loss. That's exactly what you need. A fresh start. It is. But Logan, her voice softened. I'm going to miss Seattle. I'm going to miss you and Emma. You guys became family to me, you know? You're family to us too. Will you come visit? Once I'm settled? I want Emma to see my new place, want you to meet Jenna properly when everything isn't so crisis mode. Of course, we'd love that. They talked logistics, when she might come back to Seattle to handle the last of her lease issues, how the therapy was going, the details of her new job. And underneath it all, Logan felt the shift happening. Mia was building a new life, one that didn't include daily phone calls or the promise of eventually returning. She was moving forward, which was exactly what she should be doing. So why did it feel like something was ending? After they hung up, Logan sat in the quiet of his apartment, Emma already asleep, and let himself feel the loneliness he'd been pushing away. His life had become small again. Work, parenting, routine, safe but empty. Through the wall, he heard Derek's voice, loud and angry on what sounded like a phone call. She thinks she can just move on? Start over like none of it mattered? We'll see about that. Logan went still, listening. Derek's voice dropped lower, but Logan could still make out fragments. Portland's not that far. Teach her a lesson. Thinks she's so much better. Ice flooded Logan's veins. He grabbed his phone, immediately texting Mia. Has Derek tried to contact you at all? Her response came quickly. Not directly, but Jenna said someone's been asking around about me at the coffee shop where I usually work. She confronted them and they left. Why? Logan's fingers hovered over the keyboard. He could tell her what he'd heard, worry her, possibly for nothing. Or he could handle it himself, keep her focused on her healing and her new beginning. He typed, "Just checking. Stay vigilant, okay? And tell Jenna to keep an eye out." "I will. Is everything okay there?" "Everything's fine. Get some sleep." He hated lying to her, but he also knew she didn't need the added stress. Instead, Logan called Rachel, explaining what he'd overheard. She listened without interrupting, then sighed heavily. "I'll contact Jenna directly, make sure she knows to document any suspicious activity. And I'll send Derek a cease and desist letter. If he violates it, Mia can file for a restraining order, even across state lines." "What about criminal charges? For the harassment here?" "The keyed car is borderline. Mrs. Chen's testimony helps, but without video, it's tough. The rest is annoying, but not technically illegal." Rachel paused. "But Logan, if you feel unsafe, you can file for your own restraining order. You have grounds, the threatening note, the property damage, the harassment." Logan considered it. "Let me think about it. I don't want to escalate things if I don't have to." "Sometimes escalation is necessary for safety. Just promise me you'll be careful." "I promise." That weekend, Logan took Emma to the zoo, desperate for normalcy and distance from the apartment. They spent hours watching the penguins, riding the carousel, eating overpriced ice cream. Emma was radiant, pointing out every animal, asking endless questions, being the bright spot in Logan's increasingly complicated life. On the walk back to their car, Emma slipped her small hand into his. "Dad, are you sad?" Logan looked down at his daughter, at her too perceptive eyes. "A little, maybe. But I'm happy too. Happy to be here with you." "Is it because you miss Miss Mia?" Logan's throat tightened. "Yeah, kiddo, I do miss her." "Do you love her? Like the way people love each other in movies?" The question caught Logan completely off guard. He stopped walking, kneeling down to Emma's eye level. "What makes you ask that?" Emma shrugged. "You smile different when you talk to her, and you seemed really worried about her when Mr. Derek was being mean. Mom used to say that love is when you worry about someone even when they're not around." Logan pulled Emma into a hug, overwhelmed by her insight and the truth in her words. Did he love Mia? He cared about her deeply, that much was certain. But love? That felt too complicated, too presumptuous given everything she'd been through. "I care about her very much," Logan said carefully, "but right now what she needs is space to heal and figure out her own life. Sometimes caring about someone means giving them room to do that." "But maybe someday?" Emma asked hopefully. "Maybe someday," Logan allowed, though he wasn't sure he believed it. They drove home, and Logan felt the weight of Emma's question settling over him. His feelings for Mia had shifted somewhere along the way, from old friendship to protective concern to something deeper, something he'd been deliberately not examining too closely. But it didn't matter what he felt. Mia needed to rebuild herself, needed to learn who she was outside of an abusive relationship. She didn't need another man's feelings complicating that journey. That night, after Emma was asleep, Logan's phone rang. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer, but something made him pick up. "Logan Carter?" A woman's voice, professional and crisp. "Speaking." "This is Detective Sarah Morrison with the Seattle Police Department. I'm calling regarding a report filed by Mia Bennett about ongoing harassment from Derek Hartley. Your name came up as a witness and potential target of related harassment. Do you have a few minutes to talk?" Logan's heart rate spiked. "Yes, of course. What's happened?" "Ms. Bennett filed a formal complaint this evening after Mr. Hartley attempted to contact her through multiple fake social media accounts, sent packages to her workplace in Portland, and made veiled threats and messages to her cousin. Given your proximity to Mr. Hartley and your involvement in helping Mrs. Bennett leave the relationship, We want to make sure you're aware of the situation and taking appropriate precautions. Logan sank onto the couch. I've documented his harassment toward me. The threatening note, damage to my car, noise complaints. I have photos and timestamps. Good. Send those to me at this email address. She rattled off an official-sounding email. We're building a case for a restraining order on Miss Bennett's behalf. Your documentation will help establish a pattern of behavior. Has Mr. Hartley made any direct threats against you? Logan told her about the overheard phone conversation, about the escalating harassment, about his growing concern for his and Emma's safety. The detective listened, asked pointed questions, and finally said, Mr. Carter, I'm going to be direct with you. Men like Derek Hartley often escalate when they lose control. Miss Bennett was smart to leave and to file this report, but you're in a vulnerable position living right next to him. I'd recommend considering alternative housing arrangements, at least temporarily. I can't just uproot my daughter. She's in school, she has friends, stability. I understand. But if Mr. Hartley decides to escalate further, your daughter could be caught in the crossfire. Just something to think about. After the call ended, Logan sat in the dark, his mind racing. He thought about Emma, about her routine, her happiness. He thought about Mia in Portland, trying to move forward while Derek continued to poison everything he could reach. He thought about the man on the other side of the wall, festering in his anger, looking for targets. Logan made a decision. He called his parents in Spokane, something he rarely did outside of holidays. His mother answered on the third ring. Logan? Is everything okay? Hi, Mom. Yeah, everyone's fine. I need to ask a favor. He explained the situation, keeping the details vague enough to not alarm her, but clear enough that she understood the seriousness. His mother listened, then said without hesitation, Send Emma to us. For a few weeks until this situation resolves. She loves it here, and we'd love to have her. I can't ask you to. You're not asking, I'm offering. Logan, if there's even a chance this man might do something dangerous, Emma shouldn't be there. You can handle whatever needs handling, and we'll keep her safe and happy here. Logan felt relief wash over him. Thank you, Mom. Really? That's what family does. When can you bring her? They made arrangements for the following weekend. Logan would drive Emma to Spokane, spend one night catching up with his parents, then return to Seattle to deal with Derek and whatever came next. The next day, Logan explained to Emma that she'd be going on a special trip to see her grandparents. She was excited at first, then suspicious. How long will I be there? A few weeks, maybe a month? A month? Her face fell. But what about school? What about Sophie and my other friends? Your grandma will homeschool you for a bit, and you can video chat with your friends. It's not forever, just until some grown-up stuff gets sorted out here. Does it have something to do with Mr. Derek? Logan should have known he couldn't hide anything from her. Yes, but I promise you're not in any danger. This is just me being extra careful. Emma considered this, then nodded slowly. Okay, but you have to call me every single day. Every single day, Logan promised, pulling her into a hug. That week crawled by. Logan prepared Emma for her trip, packed her favorite clothes and toys, explained to her teacher about the temporary arrangement. He also sent all his documentation to Detective Morrison, who confirmed that a restraining order hearing was scheduled for the following month. On Thursday evening, Mia called, her voice tight with stress. Did the detective contact you? She did. I sent her everything I have. Logan, I'm so sorry. I never meant for you to get dragged into this. For Derek to target you because you helped me? Stop. None of this is your fault. Derek's behavior is on Derek, not on you. I know, but... Her voice cracked. I feel guilty. You've been nothing but kind, and now you're dealing with his retaliation. I'd do it again, Logan said firmly. In a heartbeat. You needed help, I helped. That's all there is to it. Mia was quiet for a moment. The detective said I should stay in Portland, not come back for the hearing unless absolutely necessary. She said Derek's getting more unstable, more fixated. She told me the same thing. I'm sending Emma to my parents' place in Spokane this weekend, just as a precaution. Oh, Logan, Mia's voice broke. This is so messed up. All of this, it'll resolve. The restraining order will go through, Derek will have to back off or face real consequences, and eventually he'll move on to someone else or somewhere else. I hope you're right. They talked for a while longer, and when they finally hung up, Logan felt the weight of everything pressing down on him. He was doing the right thing, protecting Emma, helping Mia, standing up to Derek, but it was exhausting and lonely. That Saturday, Logan drove Emma to Spokane. She chattered excitedly for the first hour, then grew quiet, staring out the window at the passing landscape. When they finally pulled up to his parents' house, a modest ranch-style home with a huge backyard, his mother was already waiting on the porch. Emma ran to her grandmother, and Logan watched them embrace, feeling both relief and sadness. His little girl would be safe here, far from Derek's escalating instability. But she shouldn't have to be here. She should be home, in her own bed, living her normal life. That night, after Emma was asleep, Logan sat with his parents in their living room and told them the whole story. His father, usually stoic and reserved, looked genuinely angry. This Derek character, he's dangerous? Potentially, he's escalating. The police are taking it seriously. And this Mia, she's important to you? Logan hesitated, then nodded. Yeah, Dad. She is. His mother smiled gently. We could tell from the way you talked about her. She sounds like a strong woman who's been through something terrible. She is, both of those things. Well, we'll take good care of Emma for as long as you need, his father said. You focus on handling this situation and keeping yourself safe. Logan drove back to Seattle the next morning, Emma's tearful goodbye echoing in his ears. The apartment felt impossibly empty when he got home that evening. No daughter's laughter, no art projects on the table, no reason to make dinner or keep a schedule. Just Logan and the quiet, and the awareness that Derek was right on the other side of that wall, probably already aware that Emma was gone. Logan made himself dinner, then sat on the couch with his phone, scrolling through photos of Emma. His life had become so small and focused on her that without her presence, he barely knew who he was. Through the wall, he heard Derek's television playing too loud. Then voices. Derek and someone else, though Logan couldn't make out words. Logan closed his eyes, centering himself. Emma was safe. Mia was building her new life. The restraining order would go through eventually. This situation would resolve. It had to. Because Logan was tired of living in this limbo, tired of checking his peephole before leaving his apartment, tired of sleeping on his couch because his bedroom shared a wall with Derek's apartment, tired of being afraid in his own home. His phone buzzed. A text from Mia. Thank you for everything you're doing. I know it's hard. I know it's unfair. But I'm grateful every day that you were there when I needed someone. Logan stared at the message, feeling something shift in his chest. He typed back, I'm glad I was there too. And Mia? When this is all over, when Derek's out of the picture and you've had time to heal, I'd like to see where we could go, if you're interested. He hit send before he could second-guess himself, then immediately regretted it. Too soon, too presumptuous, too much. But Mia's response came quickly. I'd like that too. When I'm ready. When I'm whole again. I'd really like that. Logan smiled, feeling hope bloom in his chest for the first time in weeks. Maybe this wasn't an ending after all. Maybe it was just the hard middle part, the struggle before things got better. He could handle the hard parts, especially if there was something worth fighting for on the other side. The next 2 weeks passed in a strange, suspended reality. Logan went to work, came home, called Emma every evening like he'd promised, and tried to ignore the constant awareness of Derek's presence next door. The hallway camera had captured Derek loitering outside Logan's door on 3 separate occasions, just standing there, staring, before walking away. Patricia had added these incidents to the growing file of evidence. Detective Morrison called with updates. The restraining order hearing was scheduled for the following Tuesday. Derek had been served papers and had responded through a lawyer, claiming Mia was exaggerating, that he'd never threatened anyone, that she was just bitter about the breakup. The lawyer's statement made Logan's blood boil. The calculated dismissal of everything Mia had endured, the reframing of abuse as relationship drama. Unfortunately, it's a common defense strategy, Detective Morrison explained. But we have documentation. The messages he sent through fake accounts, the packages to her workplace, witness statements from you and Jenna. The judge will see the pattern. What happens if the restraining order goes through? Derek will be legally required to stay at least 500 feet away from Mia, her workplace, her residence, and any family members. He'll also be prohibited from any form of contact, calls, texts, emails, social media. If he violates it, he can be arrested. And what about me? The harassment here? That's trickier. You're not the primary victim, so you wouldn't be covered under Mia's order. But if his behavior toward you continues or escalates, you can file your own complaint. With the evidence you've already provided, you'd have a strong case. Logan thanked her and hung up, feeling both relieved and anxious. 5 more days until the hearing. 5 more days of living next to someone who'd proven himself unpredictable and vindictive. That night, Logan was heating up leftover Chinese food when his phone rang. Mia, her voice bright in a way he hadn't heard in months. "I started my new job today," she announced. "And Logan, it was amazing. My coworkers are friendly, my boss is supportive, the projects are creative and challenging. It's everything I hoped it would be." "That's wonderful, Mia. Really wonderful." "I know it's just the first day, but I felt like myself again. Like the version of me that existed before Derek, before I learned to make myself small. I walked into that office and I just belonged. Does that make sense?" "Perfect sense." "And tonight, I'm sitting in my new apartment, my apartment, with my name on the lease and nobody else's. And I'm eating takeout and watching whatever I want on TV, and nobody's checking my phone or questioning my choices or making me feel guilty for existing." Her voice caught. "I didn't realize how much I'd lost until I got it back." Logan smiled, leaning against his kitchen counter. "You sound happy." "I am happy. Scared sometimes, still processing a lot, still working through things in therapy. But happy." She paused. "The hearing's on Tuesday." "I know. Detective Morrison called me today." "Are you going to be there?" "They said I could testify if needed, as a witness to the harassment. So yes, I'll be there." "Thank you." Mia's voice softened. "I hate that you have to deal with any of this. I wish I could make Derek just disappear, move away, leave both of us alone. We'll get through it. A few more days." They talked for another hour, and when they finally said goodnight, Logan felt that same complicated mix of emotions. Happiness for Mia's progress, longing for something he wasn't sure he could name, and the persistent anxiety that Derek wasn't done making their lives difficult. Sunday morning, Logan woke to silence. No music from next door, no footsteps, no television. The quiet felt ominous rather than peaceful. He checked the hallway camera footage on his phone. Patricia had given him access after the 3rd loitering incident, and saw that Derek had left the building around midnight and hadn't returned. Logan tried to shake off the unease, telling himself Derek had probably just gone to stay with friends or family. But something felt wrong. He texted Detective Morrison, letting her know about Derek's absence, and she responded that she'd look into it. The day dragged on. Logan cleaned his apartment, caught up on work emails, called Emma, who was having the time of her life helping his father build a birdhouse. Everything was normal, except for the persistent feeling that something was building, some storm about to break. Monday morning, Logan was getting ready for work when his phone rang. "Detective Morrison," her voice clipped and serious. "Mr. Carter, we have a situation. Derek Hartley's car was spotted in Portland last night. Someone matching his description was seen near Mia Bennett's apartment building around 2 a.m. We've contacted Portland PD and they've increased patrols in her area, but I need you to call Mia and make sure she's aware and staying vigilant." Logan's blood ran cold. He went to Portland? He drove 4 hours to... "We can't prove it was him yet. The witness didn't get a clear look. But given the timing and the description, we're treating it as a credible threat. The hearing is tomorrow, and he may be trying to intimidate her into not showing up." Logan immediately called Mia. She answered on the first ring, her voice tight with fear. "Jenna already called me. The police were just here. Logan, what if he comes back? What if he tries to..." "Listen to me," Logan said firmly. "You're going to stay with Jenna and Marcus today and tonight. You're not going to be alone. Portland PD is watching your building and Jenna's. If Derek shows up, they'll arrest him immediately for violating the pre-hearing conditions." "I'm scared," Mia whispered. "I thought I was safe here. I thought putting distance between us would be enough." "You are safe. The police know what's happening. They're taking it seriously. And Derek knows that too. He's desperate and stupid, but he's not completely reckless. He won't risk arrest the day before the hearing." You don't know that. Logan closed his eyes, wishing he could be there, could stand between Mia and whatever threat Derek represented. You're right, I don't. But I know you're not alone. And I know that tomorrow you're going to walk into that courtroom and tell the truth, and Derek's going to face consequences for what he's done. Mia took a shaky breath. Will you call me tonight, before bed? I need to hear a friendly voice. Of course. And Mia, you're stronger than you think. You've already survived the worst of him. This is just the final hurdle. After they hung up, Logan sat on his couch, his mind racing. Derek had gone to Portland, had stalked Mia's apartment in the middle of the night. The escalation Detective Morrison had warned about was happening, and Logan felt helpless being 4 hours away. He called in sick to work, then drove to the police station. He asked to speak with Detective Morrison, and when she appeared, looking harried and stressed, he laid out his concern. Derek's fixated on Mia, but he's also fixated on me. I'm the one who helped her leave, the one he blamed. If he's desperate enough to drive to Portland, he might come back here and try something. My daughter is safely away, so I'm not worried about her. But I want to know, what can I do to protect myself? Detective Morrison studied him for a long moment. Honestly, the best thing you can do is not be alone. Stay with a friend tonight, somewhere Derek doesn't know about. After the hearing tomorrow, assuming the restraining order goes through, he'll be legally bound to stay away from both of you. But until then, he's unpredictable. I can't just hide. That's letting him win. It's not about winning or losing, Mr. Carter. It's about staying safe. Logan left the station feeling frustrated and impotent. He drove around Seattle for a while, just thinking. Finally, he texted his colleague Mark, asking if he could crash at his place for the night. Mark responded immediately with his address and a concerned, "Everything okay?" Logan packed a bag, left a note for Patricia explaining where he'd be, and drove to Mark's apartment in Capitol Hill. As he was pulling away from his building, he saw Derek's car pull into the parking lot. Their eyes met for just a moment, Derek standing by his car, Logan behind the wheel of his. And Logan saw the rage burning in Derek's expression. Then Logan drove away, refusing to engage, refusing to give Derek what he wanted. At Mark's place, Logan explained the situation in broad strokes. A friend escaping an abusive relationship, the ex-boyfriend's harassment, the upcoming hearing. Mark listened with increasing alarm. Jesus, man, you should have said something sooner. You've been dealing with this alone? I didn't want to drag anyone else into it. That's what friends are for, though, dragging each other through the hard stuff. Mark pulled out his couch bed, found extra pillows. You stay here as long as you need, and tomorrow, after the hearing, this guy will have legal boundaries he can't cross. It'll be over. Logan wanted to believe that. He really did. That night, he called Mia as promised. She was at Jenna's apartment, Marcus answering the door to every delivery person and visitor, Jenna keeping constant watch. They talked about everything except Derek, about Emma's adventures in Spokane, about Mia's new coworkers, about the Thai restaurant Jenna had ordered dinner from. I keep thinking about what you texted me, Mia said quietly, when the conversation had wound down to comfortable silence. About seeing where we could go after all this is over. Logan's heart rate picked up. Yeah? I think about it too, more than I probably should given that I'm still working through everything. But Logan, you've been this constant in my life, this safe person who never asked for anything, never made me feel like I owed you, just showed up and stood beside me. She paused. I don't know what the future looks like yet. I don't know who I'll be when I'm fully healed, but I know I want you in it. I want that too, Logan said softly. And Mia? There's no rush. We've got time. Do we, though? What if Derek— Don't, Logan interrupted gently. Don't let him take up space in your head tonight. Tomorrow, the court will handle him. Tonight, just rest. They said goodnight, and Logan lay on Mark's couch, staring at the unfamiliar ceiling. Tomorrow would determine so much, whether Mia would get the legal protection she deserved, whether Derek would face real consequences, whether they could all finally move forward. Tuesday morning arrived gray and drizzly, typical Seattle gloom. Logan dressed in his one good suit, the one he wore to job interviews and parent-teacher conferences, and drove to the King County Courthouse. He arrived early, finding a bench outside the courtroom, and waited. Detective Morrison appeared first, carrying a thick folder of evidence. Then Rachel, Mia's lawyer, looking sharp and prepared. Other witnesses, Jenna and Marcus, who'd driven up that morning. Mrs. Chen, who'd taken the bus downtown to testify about what she'd seen. And finally, Mia. She walked down the courthouse hallway with her head high, dressed in a simple navy dress and flats, her hair pulled back, minimal makeup. She looked terrified and brave in equal measure. When she saw Logan, her face transformed, relief washing over her features. "You came," she said, as if there'd been any doubt. "Of course I came." They didn't have time to say more before the bailiff called them in. The courtroom was smaller than Logan expected, more intimate. The judge, a stern-looking woman in her 60s, sat behind the bench reviewing paperwork. And at the defendant's table sat Derek, wearing a suit that probably cost more than Logan's monthly rent, looking contrite and harmless. The facade made Logan's skin crawl. The hearing proceeded with bureaucratic efficiency. Rachel presented evidence, screenshots of messages, photos of the damaged property, testimony from witnesses. Mia took the stand, her voice shaking at first but growing stronger as she recounted the abuse, the fear, the harassment that had continued even after she'd left. Derek's lawyer tried to paint her as vindictive, as someone seeking revenge for a failed relationship. But when Jenna testified about the fake social media accounts, when Mrs. Chen described watching Derek key Logan's car, when Detective Morrison presented the timeline of escalating behavior, the pattern became undeniable. Logan was called to testify near the end. He described Saturday night, the sounds through the wall, Mia arriving at his door. He described helping her get her belongings, Derek's threats, the harassment that had followed. He stayed calm, factual, refusing to let emotion color his words, even as Derek glared at him from across the courtroom. Derek's lawyer asked pointed questions. "Mr. Carter, isn't it true that you had feelings for Mrs. Bennett even while she was in a relationship with my client?" Logan met the lawyer's eyes steadily. "I cared about her as a friend. I was concerned about her well-being. And now? Do your feelings extend beyond friendship?" "That's not relevant to this hearing," the judge interjected. "Move on, counselor." The lawyer tried a different angle. "You took it upon yourself to insert yourself into their relationship, to encourage Ms. Bennett to leave." "I provided a safe place when she asked for one," Logan said firmly. "I didn't insert myself into anything. I responded to someone in crisis." The lawyer looked frustrated but backed off. Logan stepped down, returning to his seat in the gallery. Finally, Derek was allowed to speak. He stood, looking appropriately remorseful, and delivered what was clearly a prepared speech about loving Mia, about making mistakes, about just wanting closure and a chance to apologize. "I never meant to scare her," he said, his voice breaking in all the right places. "I just wanted to talk, to make things right. Maybe I went about it the wrong way, but it came from a place of caring." Logan watched Mia's face as Derek spoke. She sat perfectly still, her expression unreadable. But Logan could see her hands clenched in her lap, could see the tension in her shoulders. She was holding herself together through sheer force of will. When Derek finished, the judge looked unimpressed. She reviewed her notes, looked at the evidence spread before her, and finally spoke. "Mr. Hartley, the evidence presented today paints a clear picture of a pattern of controlling and abusive behavior that has continued and escalated even after the end of your relationship with Ms. Bennett. The court finds sufficient cause to grant a permanent restraining order." Derek's face went pale. His lawyer started to speak, but the judge held up a hand. "You are hereby ordered to stay a minimum of 500 feet away from Ms. Bennett, her place of residence, her place of employment, and any family members. You are prohibited from any direct or indirect contact, including through third parties, social media, or any electronic means. You will also attend court-mandated anger management and domestic violence counseling. Violation of this order will result in immediate arrest and criminal charges. Do you understand?" Derek nodded stiffly, his jaw clenched so tight Logan could see the muscle jumping. "Additionally," the judge continued, "given Mr. Carter's testimony about harassment directed at him as retaliation for helping Mrs. Bennett, I'm extending the protective order to include him as well. Mr. Hartley, you are to have no contact with Logan Carter or his minor daughter. The same penalties apply." Derek's lawyer stood. "Your Honor, My client is willing to comply, but he does live in the same building as Mr. Carter. How is he supposed to? That's not this court's concern, the judge said sharply. Mr. Hartley made choices that led to this situation. He can make the choice to relocate. This hearing is concluded. The gavel came down with a sharp crack that seemed to echo through the small courtroom. Derek stood frozen, his lawyer gathering papers quickly. Mia remained seated until Derek and his lawyer had left the courtroom, maintaining that careful distance. Only when they were gone did she finally allow herself to breathe. Jenna was at her side immediately, pulling her into a fierce hug. Marcus stood guard at the door, making sure Derek didn't try to approach in the hallway. Logan waited, giving Mia space to process with her family. But when she finally looked up, when her eyes found his across the courtroom, the gratitude and relief in her expression made his chest ache. She crossed to him, and without thinking, Logan pulled her into his arms. She held on tight, her face pressed against his shoulder, and he felt her trembling. "It's over," she whispered. "It's really over." "It's really over," Logan confirmed. They stood like that for a long moment, neither wanting to let go. Finally, Mia pulled back, wiping her eyes. "Thank you," she said, "for everything, for testifying, for being here, for being the person who made me believe I deserved better." "You always deserved better." Rachel approached, all business. "The order goes into effect immediately. If Derek tries to contact either of you, document it and call the police right away. The judge was very clear about the consequences." "What about the apartment?" Mia asked. "The lease?" "I'll handle that. Given the restraining order, the landlord will have to let you out of the lease without penalty. Derek can stay or go, but that's his problem now, not yours." They walked out of the courthouse together, emerging into the drizzly Seattle afternoon. The rain felt cleansing somehow, washing away the tension of the last few weeks. Jenna and Marcus headed back to Portland with Mia, who had to work the next day. Before she left, Mia hugged Logan again. "Come visit soon?" she asked. "Once things settle down? Bring Emma, let her see my new place? We'd love that. And Logan?" She looked up at him, her green eyes clear and bright. "Thank you for waiting, for not pushing, for just being patient with me while I figure myself out." "Take all the time you need," Logan said, meaning it. "I'm not going anywhere." He watched them drive away, then headed to his own car. His phone buzzed with a text from his mother. "Emma wants to know when she can come home. We love having her, but she misses you." Logan smiled, typing back, "Soon, very soon." He drove to Mark's apartment to collect his things, then back to his own building. The restraining order meant Derek would have to move, but that might take time. For now, Logan would just have to coexist with the knowledge that his harasser was next door, legally bound to leave him alone. But when Logan climbed the stairs to his floor, he saw Patricia standing in the hallway with a maintenance worker. "Logan," she said, looking relieved to see him. "I was just about to call you. Derek Hartley submitted his 30-day notice this morning. He's moving out." Logan felt a weight lift from his shoulders. "He is?" "Said something about relocating for work. I didn't ask questions, just accepted the notice and told him we'd prorate his last month's rent." Patricia handed Logan an envelope. "He also asked me to give you this." Logan took the envelope warily. Inside was a single sheet of paper with 2 sentences in Derek's handwriting. "You win. I hope you're both happy." Logan crumpled the note, throwing it in the hallway trash. "It was never about winning," he muttered. But Derek was leaving, and that was what mattered. The next few weeks passed in a strange calm. Derek moved out quietly, hiring movers on a weekday when Logan was at work. Logan came home to an empty apartment next door, all traces of Derek's presence erased. A young couple moved in 2 weeks later, quiet, friendly, normal. Logan drove to Spokane to pick up Emma, who chattered nonstop the entire drive home about all the things she'd done with her grandparents. She seemed completely unbothered by the time away, already planning her next visit. Life returned to its comfortable routine. Work, parenting, soccer practice, homework. But something was different now. Logan found himself thinking about the future in ways he hadn't in years. Found himself hoping for something more than just the safe, predictable life he'd built. He and Mia talked almost every day, their conversations ranging from mundane daily details to deeper reflections on healing and growth. She was thriving in Portland, Her job was going well, her therapy was helping. She was building a life that was entirely her own. 3 months after the restraining order hearing, Mia invited Logan and Emma to Portland for a long weekend. They drove down on a Friday afternoon, Emma excited to see Miss Mia's new place. Mia's apartment was small but full of personality. Colorful artwork on the walls, plants in every window, a cozy reading nook by the fireplace. She'd made it completely her own, and Logan could see the pride in her face as she showed them around. That evening, while Emma was engrossed in a movie with Jenna and Marcus in the living room, Mia and Logan sat on her small balcony, watching the city lights. "I've been doing a lot of thinking," Mia said, her hands wrapped around a mug of tea, "about what I want, who I want to be, what kind of life I want to build." Logan waited, his heart beating faster. "I'm not the same person I was when I knocked on your door that night. I'm stronger now, more sure of myself. I know what I deserve, and I'm not willing to settle for less." She turned to look at him. "And I know that what I want, what I'm ready for now, includes you, if you're still interested." Logan set down his own mug, reaching for her hand. "I've been interested since the moment you stood in my doorway asking for help. Maybe even before that. But I wanted you to have time, to be sure." "I'm sure," Mia said softly. "I'm sure that the way you showed up for me, the way you never made me feel like I owed you anything, the way you just steadily, patiently stood beside me. That's what love looks like. Real love. Not the twisted version Derek tried to sell me." "I do love you," Logan said, the words feeling both terrifying and right. "I think I have for a while now." "I love you too." Mia smiled, that full bright smile Logan remembered from college, before life had dimmed it. "So what do we do now?" "Now?" Logan pulled her closer, wrapping his arm around her shoulders. "Now we take it slow. We date properly, we let Emma adjust to the idea, we figure out logistics, Portland, Seattle, whether one of us moves or we try long distance for a while. We don't rush." "That sounds perfect." Mia leaned her head against his shoulder. "I'm good at slow now. I learned patience from the best." They sat like that as the evening deepened, comfortable in the quiet, in the promise of something building between them. Inside, they could hear Emma laughing at something Marcus said, the sound of ordinary happiness. Later that night, after Emma was asleep in Mia's guest room and Logan was making up the couch for himself, Mia appeared in the doorway. "Stay with me," she said quietly. I'm not ready for everything yet, but just to fall asleep next to someone I trust, someone who makes me feel safe." Logan followed her to her bedroom, and they lay down together on top of the covers, fully clothed. Mia curled against his side, her head on his chest, his arm around her shoulders. "This okay?" Logan asked. "More than okay." Mia's voice was already sleepy. "This is exactly what I needed." Logan held her as she drifted off, listening to her breathing even out, feeling the trust she was placing in him. There was no pressure here, no expectation. Just two people who'd been through something difficult together, choosing to build something new from the ashes of what had been. In the morning, Logan woke to find Mia already up, making breakfast for Emma, who was telling her about the birdhouse project with Grandpa. The scene was so domestic, so normal, so right, that Logan felt his throat tighten with emotion. This was what he'd been missing, what his safe, controlled life had lacked: connection, partnership, the messy, complicated, beautiful reality of letting someone in. They spent the weekend exploring Portland, visiting the Japanese garden, eating at food carts, playing board games at Mia's apartment. Emma warmed to Mia all over again, and Mia was patient and attentive, never trying to force a relationship, but letting it develop naturally. On Sunday evening, as they were loading the car for the drive back to Seattle, Emma tugged on Logan's sleeve. "Dad? Is Miss Mia your girlfriend now?" Logan glanced at Mia, who smiled and nodded slightly. "Yeah, kiddo, she is. Is that okay with you?" Emma considered this seriously. "Does that mean she'll come visit us in Seattle sometimes?" "If she wants to, yes. And maybe someday she could live with us?" "Maybe someday, but not for a while. We're taking things slow." Emma seemed satisfied with this answer. She ran to give Mia one more hug before climbing into the car. Mia walked Logan to the driver's side, and he pulled her close, kissing her forehead. "Thank you for this weekend, for letting us in. Thank you for being patient. for understanding that I needed time. I'd wait forever if that's what you needed. Mia kissed him then, soft and sweet and full of promise. You won't have to wait forever, just long enough for me to be ready to do this right. Logan drove home with Emma dozing in the passenger seat, his heart fuller than it had been in years. The road ahead was uncertain. They'd have to figure out logistics, have hard conversations, navigate the complexity of blending their lives. But for the first time since Jessica had left, Logan felt hopeful about the future. 6 months later, Mia accepted a remote position with her Portland design firm, allowing her to work from anywhere. She found an apartment in Seattle, close enough to visit easily, but separate, maintaining her independence while building their relationship. A year after that, on a quiet Saturday morning, Logan woke to find Mia in his kitchen making pancakes while Emma set the table. It had become their weekend routine, Mia staying over on Friday nights, the three of them spending Saturdays together as a family unit. "Morning," Mia said, kissing him as he shuffled in, sleepy-eyed. "Coffee's ready." Logan poured himself a cup, watching Emma and Mia work together to flip pancakes, their easy comfort with each other. This was what he'd been searching for without knowing it. Not the fairy tale romance, but the steady, real, everyday love that showed up and stayed. That afternoon, while Emma was at a birthday party, Logan and Mia sat on his couch, the same couch where he'd slept that first night Mia had knocked on his door. "I've been thinking," Logan said, taking her hand, "about the future, about what we're building here." Mia looked at him, her eyes bright. "Yeah?" "Emma's birthday is in 2 months. She's been asking if you could move in with us. And I know we said we'd take things slow, but Mia, it's been almost 2 years, and every day I'm more sure that this is what I want. You, here, with us. Permanently." Mia was quiet for a long moment, and Logan's heart started to sink. Then she smiled, that brilliant smile that still made his breath catch. "I was wondering when you'd ask," she said. "My lease is up in 6 weeks. I was hoping the timing would work out." Logan laughed, pulling her close. "So that's a yes?" "That's absolutely a yes." They told Emma together that evening, and her squeal of delight probably echoed through the entire building. The building where this had all started, where Mia had knocked on Logan's door asking for safety and found so much more. As Logan watched Mia and Emma plan which room would be Mia's office, watched them debate paint colors and furniture arrangements, he thought about that night 2 years ago, about the fear in Mia's eyes, the trembling in her hands, the desperate hope that someone would help. He'd helped. And in helping her, she'd helped him too, had shown him that his life could be more than just safe and controlled, that opening himself up to risk and complexity could lead to something beautiful. Love, Logan had learned, wasn't about grand gestures or dramatic rescues. It was about showing up consistently, about creating safety without control, about offering support without strings attached. It was about patience and trust, and choosing each other every day, even when it was hard. It was about knowing that the right love didn't feel like a cage. It felt like freedom, like home, like the quiet certainty that whatever came next, you'd face it together. And as Mia turned to him, her eyes full of joy and love, and the peace that comes from finally being whole, Logan knew they'd found exactly that. The silence next door that had once seemed ominous was now just empty space, waiting for new neighbors, new stories. But in Logan's apartment, there was laughter and love and the beautiful noise of a family being built. Not despite the darkness they'd walked through, but because of it. Some stories don't end with a kiss. They end with a choice. The choice to heal, to grow, to love again after fear has tried to break you. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, they end with someone who stood beside you in the darkness, looking at you in the light and saying, "Yes, this is worth it. You are worth it. We are worth it." This was that kind of ending, and that kind of beginning.